Escape the paycheck trap, the trap you don't notice until you feel it. There is a quiet kind of fear that most people carry every day, and they rarely talk about it out loud. It is the fear of needing the next paycheck so badly that one missed deposit could shake their entire life. It hides behind normal routines, morning commutes, grocery runs, and quick smiles at work. It sounds like, "I'm doing okay," while your chest tightens every time a bill comes due. It looks like productivity on the outside and pressure on the inside. It can happen to people with small incomes, and it can happen to people making what others call good money. The paycheck trap does not care how smart you are, how hard you work, or how much potential you have. It only cares whether your life is built on income that must keep coming in the exact same way, at the exact same pace, with no room for error. If it is, then your freedom is fragile. This audiobook is about changing that. It is not about fantasy. It is not about getting rich overnight. It is not about pretending the system is easy or that effort is optional. It is about building a life where money stops controlling your decisions. It is about creating enough margin, enough discipline, and enough strategy that you are no longer stuck in survival mode. It is about moving from dependence to control, from pressure to peace, from reaction to intention. Financial freedom is not just a number in a bank account. Financial freedom is the ability to choose, the ability to say no, the ability to take a breath, the ability to think beyond Friday, the ability to build a future instead of constantly patching the present. Most people think the paycheck trap starts with low income, but that is only part of the story. The real trap starts with a pattern. You earn, you spend, you recover, you repeat. You get paid, you catch up, and then you wait. You feel relief on payday and stress a few days later. You make plans when money hits your account and cancel plans when it disappears. You tell yourself, next month will be better, then next month arrives with the same cycle wearing a different outfit. Over time, this pattern becomes normal. It becomes your financial identity. You stop saying, "I'm temporarily stuck," and start thinking, "This is just how life is." That thought is dangerous because it quietly kills ambition. It trains you to expect limitation. It teaches you to survive inside a system you were supposed to graduate from. But here is the truth. The paycheck trap is not permanent unless you keep feeding it. Why your paycheck keeps disappearing. And most people feed it without realizing it. They feed it with habits that feel small but multiply over years. They feed it with avoidance. They feed it with emotional spending, vague goals, and a lack of financial awareness. They feed it by increasing their lifestyle every time their income increases. They feed it by focusing only on earning more while refusing to manage what they already earn. They feed it by outsourcing responsibility for their future to jobs, employers, or luck. None of this means they are lazy. In fact, many trapped people are some of the hardest working people you will ever meet. The issue is not always effort. The issue is direction. You can work very hard and still move in circles if your strategy is broken. To escape the paycheck trap, you need a new relationship with money, not a fearful relationship, not an obsessive relationship, a clear relationship, a mature relationship, a relationship built on awareness, discipline, and long-term thinking. Money is a tool. It is not your identity. It is not your worth. It is not your enemy. It is not your savior. It is a tool, and tools only help when they are used intentionally. A hammer can build a home or break a window. A paycheck can fund freedom or finance stress. The difference is not the paycheck. The difference is the person holding it. The first shift is mental. Before you change your finances, you have to change your thinking. You must stop seeing your paycheck as the goal and start seeing it as raw material. A paycheck is not success. A paycheck is a resource. What you do after you get paid determines whether you are building a stronger life or a more expensive trap. If your money disappears without a plan, your paycheck owns you. If your money is assigned with purpose, invested with patience, and protected with discipline, then your paycheck starts working for you. This is the beginning of freedom. Freedom starts long before passive income. Freedom starts the moment you stop spending unconsciously. Most people avoid looking closely at their money because they think clarity will make them feel worse. In the short term, it might. But confusion is always more expensive than discomfort. If you do not know where your money goes, you will always feel behind even when you earn more. Financial stress grows in darkness. It feeds on vagueness. It survives when you round numbers in your head, ignore subscriptions, and hope things balance themselves out. Hope is powerful in many areas of life, but hope is not a budgeting system. Hope is not a debt strategy. Hope is not an investment plan. You need visibility. You need numbers. You need honesty. Your paycheck is a tool, not the goal. Sit with that for a moment. Financial freedom does not begin when you get a raise. It begins when you tell the truth. The truth about your income, the truth about your spending, the truth about your debt, the truth about what you buy to look successful, the truth about what you buy to feel better, the truth about what you keep paying for, because canceling it would force you to admit it was never worth it. The truth about the habits you blame on your circumstances, even though they are choices repeated so often they feel automatic. Honesty is not punishment. Honesty is power. When you can see your money clearly, you can direct it. When you can direct it, you can change your future. Let's talk about the emotional side of the paycheck trap, because this is where many people lose the battle. Money is not only math. Money is memory, identity, fear, ego, and desire. Some people spend because they are stressed. Some spend because they are bored. Some spend to reward themselves for working hard. Some spend to fit in with friends. Some spend because they grew up with scarcity and buying things now feels safer than saving for later. Some avoid money conversations because they associate finances with shame. If you only attack the math and ignore the emotions, your progress will collapse under pressure. You need a system, yes, but you also need self-awareness. You need to know your triggers. You need to know what situations make you spend carelessly. You need to know what stories you tell yourself when you want to avoid discipline. One of the most common stories is, "I deserve this." And sometimes you do. But the paycheck trap uses truth in the wrong direction. You may deserve rest, but that does not mean you deserve recurring debt. You may deserve enjoyment, but that does not mean every hard day should end in spending. You may deserve nice things, but if those nice things delay your freedom by years, then they are not rewards. They are distractions dressed up as progress. Real rewards do not sabotage your future. Real rewards strengthen it. Another common story is, "I'll save when I make more." This sounds reasonable, but it is one of the most expensive lies in personal finance. If you do not build the habit of managing money now, more income usually creates more spending, not more wealth. Income amplifies habits. A disciplined person with modest income can build stability. An undisciplined person with a high income can stay broke in better clothes. Waiting for a bigger paycheck to become responsible is like waiting for perfect weather to learn how to drive. The conditions will always change. The habit must come first. So what does escaping the paycheck trap actually look like in real life? It looks less dramatic than social media makes it seem. It is not one giant moment. It is a series of consistent decisions that slowly change your position. It looks like creating a budget you will actually use, instead of one that makes you feel good for one day and disappears. It looks like separating needs from wants without pretending you can never enjoy your life. It looks like building an emergency fund before chasing every shiny investment. It looks like paying down high-interest debt with intention. It looks like learning to wait. It looks like saying no to things that everyone else says yes to. It looks like raising your standards for financial behavior, not just your standards for lifestyle. The truth about spending, stress, and survival. That word lifestyle matters more than most people realize. Lifestyle inflation is one of the biggest reasons people stay trapped. Every time income rises, expenses rise right behind it. A better job becomes a better car payment. A bonus becomes a weekend trip. A raise becomes a larger apartment. More money comes in, but no freedom is created. This is how people make progress on paper while feeling stuck in reality. They are earning more, but they are not keeping more. They are upgrading comfort faster than they are upgrading control, and control is what creates freedom. Imagine two people who both get a raise. The first person immediately increases spending because they feel they have earned the right to enjoy more now. The second person keeps most expenses the same and directs the extra income towards savings, debt reduction, and investing. At first, the first person appears to be winning. Their lifestyle is visibly better. They post the dinners, the upgrades, the purchases. The second person looks boring. But 5 years later, the difference becomes obvious. One person has a polished version of the same stress. The other has options, and options are the true flex. If you want to escape the paycheck trap, you must become someone who values options more than appearances. Options let you walk away from bad jobs. Options let you handle emergencies without panic. Options let you invest in opportunities. Options let you take calculated risks. Options let you help family without destroying your own stability. Options let you sleep. Options let you think clearly. Options are what financial freedom feels like long before you hit a huge net worth. Now, let's build the foundation. The first practical move is to create a survival gap. A survival gap is the space between what you earn and what you must spend to live. If there is no gap, you are trapped. If the gap is tiny, you are fragile. If the gap grows, freedom begins. Your first mission is not to look rich. Your first mission is to widen that gap. You can widen it by increasing income, reducing expenses, or both. Most people need both. But do not overlook the power of reducing fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are the bills that return every month and quietly consume your future. Housing, car payments, insurance, subscriptions, debt payments. These are the expenses that keep you committed to a paycheck. Every time you lower a fixed expense, you permanently reduce the pressure on your life. This is why small monthly decisions have massive long-term consequences. A slightly cheaper apartment, a paid-off used car, fewer recurring payments, and intentional spending habits can create more freedom than a flashy raise that disappears into lifestyle upgrades. Financial freedom is not always built by dramatic income leaps. Sometimes it is built by boring decisions repeated for years. The world does not celebrate boring decisions because they are hard to market, but boring decisions build strong lives. Building margin, savings, debt, and cash flow. Once you create a survival gap, the next step is to protect it. This is where the emergency fund comes in. The emergency fund is not just a pile of cash. It is emotional stability. It is decision-making power. It is protection from bad timing. Without an emergency fund, every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. A car repair becomes a credit card balance. A medical bill becomes stress. A job interruption becomes panic. With an emergency fund, problems are still problems, but they are not disasters. You can respond instead of react. You can think instead of scramble. Start small if you have to. Do not disrespect small wins. The paycheck trap convinces people that if they cannot save a huge amount, there is no point in saving at all. That mindset keeps people trapped. Saving $100 matters. Saving $500 matters. Saving your first 1,000 matters. The amount is important, but the habit is even more important. You are proving to yourself that money can stay in your hands. You are practicing restraint. You are building trust with yourself. You are changing identity from spender to builder. Next comes debt. And this is where people often feel overwhelmed. Debt can feel like a permanent shadow, especially if it has been part of your life for years. But debt is not just a balance. Debt is a system of future income already spoken for. Every payment you owe reduces your flexibility. High-interest debt is especially dangerous because it grows faster than your discipline if you ignore it. You cannot build real freedom while expensive debt is actively draining your progress. That does not mean you need to feel shame. It means you need a plan. Choose a debt payoff strategy that keeps you consistent. Some people do best attacking the smallest balances first to build momentum. Some do best targeting the highest interest rates first to save more money over time. Both can work if you stay committed. The key is intensity plus consistency. Stop adding new debt while paying down old debt. Track progress visibly. Celebrate milestones without rewarding yourself in ways that recreate the problem. Remember what you are really buying when you pay off debt. You are buying cash flow. You are buying peace. You are buying time. You are buying back future income that used to belong to lenders. As you reduce debt and build savings, your mindset around work begins to shift. This is one of the most exciting parts of the journey. When you are trapped, work often feels like survival. You work because you must. You tolerate environments you hate because bills do not care how you feel. You stay quiet when you should negotiate. You stay stuck when you should grow. But as your financial foundation gets stronger, work becomes strategic. You can choose jobs based on growth, culture, or opportunity, not just immediate cash. You can say no to exploitation. You can think longer term. Even before full financial freedom, partial freedom changes everything. From surviving to building. This leads to a critical truth. Escaping the paycheck trap is not only about cutting expenses. You also need to increase your earning power. There is a limit to how much you can cut, but there is often enormous potential in how much you can earn. The mistake many people make is treating income as fixed and expenses as the only lever. In reality, your skills, your network, your reputation, and your ability to solve problems can dramatically change your income over time. The market pays for value, not effort alone. If you want to earn more, become more useful. Ask yourself what your current income is based on. Is it based on hours only? Is it based on a role that is easy to replace? Is it based on skills that are common? Is it based on work that does not create measurable results? These are not insults. They are strategic questions. If your income depends entirely on showing up for hours and completing routine tasks, then your financial future is fragile because your leverage is low. To build freedom, you need leverage. Leverage comes from specialized skills, problem-solving ability, sales ability, communication, leadership, technical competence, and ownership. Ownership matters. Many people stay trapped because they only build income streams they do not control. A job can be great, and a job can absolutely be part of your path to freedom. But if every dollar depends on one source, you are vulnerable. You do not need 10 income streams tomorrow. You need one extra stream built with intention. It could be a side service. It could be freelance work. It could be a small business. It could be investing cash flow over time. It could be real estate. It could be digital products. The specific path matters less than the principle. You need money that is not tied to one employer's decisions. At the beginning, your side income may feel small and unimpressive. That is normal. Most meaningful income streams begin quietly. They start with inconsistent results, imperfect systems, and late nights. They start with learning curves. They start with doubt. But every dollar earned outside your main paycheck changes your psychology. It proves that your income is not limited to one channel. It increases your confidence. It creates margin. It gives you data. It shows you what is possible if you stay consistent. Do not compare your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 10. Build your stream. Let's talk about time, because time is the invisible currency behind the paycheck trap. Many people are not only short on money, they are short on energy. They are mentally exhausted, emotionally stretched, and operating in constant urgency. This makes smart financial decisions harder. When you are tired, convenience becomes expensive. Fast food replaces meal prep. Impulse purchases replace planning. Subscription services replace intentional systems. Burnout creates financial leakage. If you want to build freedom, you need to protect your energy as well as your money. The discipline that creates freedom. Create routines that reduce decision fatigue. Automate bills. Automate savings. Plan meals. Set spending limits in advance. Use one day each week to review your finances. Keep your system simple enough that you can maintain it during stressful seasons. The best financial system is not the most advanced one. It is the one you will actually use when life gets hard. Complexity impresses people. Simplicity survives. Now, let's address investing, because many people either fear it or romanticize it. Investing is not magic. It is delayed gratification applied to money. It is the process of putting your money in assets that can grow over time instead of spending all of it in the present. You do not invest because it is trendy. You invest because inflation punishes cash that sits too long, and because wealth grows through ownership. The earlier you start, the more time can work in your favor. Time is the multiplier most people underestimate. However, investing without a foundation can become another form of financial self-sabotage. If you are carrying high-interest debt, have no emergency fund, and invest purely because you fear missing out, you are not building wealth. You are gambling with unstable ground. Build the basics first, then invest consistently. Do not chase hype. Do not build your future on tips, rumors, or emotional decisions. Learn the difference between speculation and strategy. Learn what you own and why you own it. Wealth is usually built slower than social media suggests and faster than excuses allow. One of the most powerful habits in the journey to financial freedom is delayed gratification. This is not deprivation, this is maturity. Delayed gratification means you are willing to let future peace outrank present impulse. It means you can want something without buying it immediately. It means you can separate desire from action. It means you can pause. That pause is where freedom is built. In that pause, you decide whether a purchase supports your values or weakens your position. In that pause, you remember your goals. In that pause, you stop living on autopilot. Autopilot is comfortable, but autopilot is where traps are built. You wake up, work, spend, scroll, repeat. Weeks blend together, months disappear, years pass. Then one day, you realize you have been busy for a long time, but not truly advancing. That realization can be painful, but it can also be the turning point. You do not need to be perfect to start changing. You need to become intentional. Intentional people are not always faster. They are more aligned. Their money reflects their priorities. Their schedule reflects their goals. Their habits reflect the future they say they want. What financial freedom really looks like. Let's define financial freedom in a practical way. Financial freedom does not mean never working again, unless that is your specific goal. For many people, financial freedom means being able to work because they choose to, not because they are cornered. It means your basic living expenses can be covered by savings, investments, business income, or other reliable cash flow. It means emergencies do not control you. It means debt does not own your future. It means you have enough margin to make values-based decisions. Freedom can happen in stages. You do not have to wait until full independence to feel the benefits. Every layer of stability is a layer of freedom. There is beginner freedom, where you stop panicking between paychecks because you finally have a buffer. There is progress freedom, where you have reduced debt, built savings, and can breathe. There is strategic freedom, where investments and additional income streams begin carrying real weight. And there is deep freedom, where your life no longer depends on one paycheck at all. Respect every stage. Do not dismiss progress because you have not reached the final destination yet. The person with a growing emergency fund and a plan is already living a different life than the person still pretending things will somehow fix themselves. Comparison is another trap you need to escape. Financial journeys are deeply personal, but the world encourages constant comparison. You compare your income to friends, your car to strangers, your house to social media, your timeline to people you do not even know. Comparison creates artificial urgency. It pushes you to spend for image instead of purpose. It makes patience feel like failure. It blinds you to your own progress. If you want financial freedom, you must become less impressed by what looks expensive and more impressed by what creates stability. There are people driving luxury cars with stress levels you would never trade for. There are people living in beautiful homes they cannot afford without constant pressure. There are people posting vacations financed by debt. There are people performing success while privately drowning. Do not build your goals from someone else's highlight reel. Build your goals from your values. What do you actually want your life to feel like? Peaceful, strong, flexible, generous, stable, growing? Start there and let your money serve that vision. Generosity is worth mentioning because many people think financial discipline is selfish. It is not. Financial discipline is what makes sustainable generosity possible. When your life is unstable, helping others often comes at the cost of your own survival. When your finances are strong, your generosity becomes powerful and consistent. You can give without resentment. You can support family wisely. You can contribute to causes you believe in. You can create opportunities for others. Freedom expands your ability to serve. Setbacks, identity, and the long game. As you continue building, you will face setbacks. Expect them. A setback does not mean you are failing. It means you are living in the real world. Unexpected repairs will happen. Income dips may happen. You may make mistakes. You may relapse into old habits for a season. The key is not to turn one bad decision into a bad direction. A costly month is not a reason to quit. A financial mistake is not proof that you are incapable of change. Progress is not linear, and discipline is not the absence of imperfection. Discipline is returning to the plan faster. When setbacks happen, avoid the all-or-nothing mindset. This mindset says if you cannot do everything perfectly, there is no point doing anything well. It is the mindset that turns one impulse purchase into a weekend of spending. It is the mindset that turns one missed budget review into months of avoidance. It is the mindset that keeps people stuck because they confuse progress with perfection. You do not need perfection. You need consistency and course correction. Let's talk about identity again, because this may be the deepest part of escaping the paycheck trap. Lasting financial change happens when you stop trying to force yourself to act differently for a few weeks and start becoming someone who sees money differently for life. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to budget," you become someone who plans. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to save," you become someone who keeps money. Instead of saying, "I'm trying not to spend," you become someone who spends intentionally. Identity drives behavior. Behavior repeated becomes destiny. The old identity seeks relief. The new identity seeks freedom. The old identity reacts to money. The new identity directs money. The old identity spends to feel in control. The new identity builds control, so spending is no longer emotional. The old identity thinks short-term and feels trapped. The new identity thinks long-term and creates options. Every financial decision is an opportunity to reinforce one identity or the other. You may be wondering how long this takes. The honest answer is that it depends on your starting point, your income, your obligations, and your consistency. But here is the better answer. The timeline matters less than the trajectory. If you are moving toward freedom with intention, your life can start feeling better long before the finish line. The person with a clear plan often sleeps better than the person with a higher income and no control. Direction reduces anxiety. Momentum builds confidence. Progress creates hope. There is also a deeper reward waiting for you beyond the money itself. Escaping the paycheck trap changes how you see yourself. You begin to trust your own discipline. You stop feeling helpless. You stop believing every problem must be solved with more income. You learn patience. You become more strategic. You become harder to manipulate because urgency no longer controls you. You become more dangerous in the best way, because you can think clearly when others panic. Financial freedom is not only a financial transformation, it is a personal one. As your foundation strengthens, start thinking in decades, not just months. What does your life look like if you keep spending impulsively for 10 years? What does it look like if you build assets for 10 years? What does it look like if you keep increasing fixed expenses every time income rises? What does it look like if you increase investing instead? The future is built in ordinary weeks. Most people overestimate what they can do in a month and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. Use that truth to your advantage. Build slowly, build steadily. Let time compound your discipline. When the paycheck stops being a trap. If you are in a season where money is tight, do not lose heart. Tight seasons are not permanent unless they become your identity. Start where you are. Track what you earn. Track what you spend. Cut what weakens you. Protect what matters. Build a small buffer. Increase your value. Earn more where you can. Learn continuously. Stay patient. The paycheck trap thrives on discouragement. It wants you to believe your situation is fixed. It wants you to confuse your current condition with your final outcome. Refuse that lie. If you are in a season where you earn well but still feel trapped, your work is different but just as important. You may not need a raise first. You may need restraint. You may need simplicity. You may need to unwind expensive habits and rebuild your finances around freedom instead of image. High income with no control is just a larger trap. Do not let pride keep you stuck. There is no shame in resetting. There is strength in it. At some point, you will realize that the paycheck trap was never only about money. It was about dependence. It was about fear. It was about living with no margin and calling it normal. It was about giving your future away one impulsive decision at a time. And your escape was never only about budgeting. It was about ownership. It was about becoming a person who can manage resources, delay gratification, build systems, and think long-term. It was about reclaiming your ability to choose. Picture your future self for a moment, not a fantasy version, a real version, calm, disciplined, clear, bills handled, savings growing, debt shrinking or gone, investments compounding, income diversified, decisions made from values, not panic. That person is not created by one lucky break. That person is built through repeated choices, through saying no when it would be easier to say yes, through planning when it would be easier to avoid, through patience when the world sells urgency, through consistency when no one is clapping yet. And one day, almost quietly, you will notice something has changed. Payday comes, and instead of relief, you feel gratitude. A bill arrives, and instead of panic, you make a transfer. An opportunity appears, and instead of wishing, you are ready. A bad work environment pushes too far, and instead of staying trapped, you can walk. A family member needs help, and instead of empty promises, you can contribute. You look back and realize the trap did not disappear overnight. You outgrew it. That is the path in front of you. Not perfect, not instant, but real. You do not need to know everything today. You need to begin. You need to become honest, intentional, and consistent. You need to stop worshiping the paycheck and start training the person who receives it. You need to build margin, protect cash flow, eliminate expensive debt, increase your earning power, and invest with patience. You need to choose options over appearances, values over pressure, and freedom over impulse. Escape the paycheck trap by refusing to live one payment away from fear. Escape it by building a system that serves your life instead of consuming it. Escape it by deciding that your future will not be negotiated by habits you never chose consciously. Escape it by becoming the kind of person who can hold money without leaking it, grow money without worshiping it, and use money without being used by it. Escape it one decision at a time, one paycheck at a time, 1 month at a time, until the life that once felt impossible becomes your new normal. Your freedom will not be handed to you. Build it, protect it, expand it. And when the world tries to convince you that constant stress is just adulthood, remember this. Survival may be common, but freedom is available to anyone willing to live with intention. Start now. Start small if you must. Start imperfectly if you must. But start. Because the sooner you begin, the sooner your paycheck stops being a trap and starts becoming a tool. And once it becomes a tool, everything changes.